Blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. I can't tell you how excited I am to read this to you. Chapter 11 of the Secrets of Enoch. It's a shortened version of the books of Enoch, which are also posted on YouTube by a lot of other people. I just post the snippets that Jesus tells me to. Okay, chapter 11. Those men took me and led me up onto the fourth heaven, and showed me all the successive goings, and all the rays of the light of sun and moon. And I measured their goings, and compared their light, and saw that the sun's light is greater than the moon's. Its circle and the wheels on which it goes always, like a wind, going past with very marvelous speed, and day and night it has no rest. Its passage and return are accompanied by 4 great stars, and each star has under it 1,000 stars to the right of the sun's wheel, and by 4 to the left, each having under it 1,000 stars, altogether 8,000, issuing with the sun continually. And by day 15 myriads of angels attend it, and by night 1,000. Amein. And 6 winged ones issue with the angels before the sun's wheel into the fiery flames, and 100 angels kindle the sun and set it alight. Chapter 12. And I looked and saw other flying elements of the sun, those whose names are Phoenixes and Chalkydri, marvelous and wonderful, with feet and tails in the form of a lion and a crocodile's head. Their appearance is empurpled, like the rainbow. Their size is 900 measures. Their wings are like those of angels. Each has 12, and they attend and accompany the sun, bearing heat and dew as it is ordered them from God. Thus the sun revolves and goes, and rises under the heaven, and its course goes under the earth with the light of its rays incessantly. Chapter 13. Those men bore me away to the east, and placed me at the sun's gates, where the sun goes forth according to the regulation of the seasons, and the circuit of the months of the whole year, and the number of the hours, day and night. And I saw 6 gates open, each gate having 61 stadia, and 1/4 of 1 stadium. And I measured them truly, and understood their size to be so much, through which the sun goes forth, and goes to the west, and is made even, and rises throughout all the months, and turns back again from the 6 gates, according to the succession of the seasons. Thus the period of the whole year is finished after the return of the 4 seasons. Chapter 14. And again those men led me away to the western parts, and showed me 6 great gates, upon corresponding to the eastern gates, opposite to where the sun sets, according to the number of the days, 365 and 1/4. Thus again it goes down to the western gates, and draws away its light, and the greatness of its brightness under the earth. For since the crown of its shining is in heaven with the Lord, and guarded by 400 angels, while the sun goes round on wheel under the earth, and stands 7 great hours in the night, and spends half its course under the earth. When it comes to the eastern approach in the 8th hour of the night, it brings its lights, and the crown of shining, and the sun flames forth more than fire. Chapter 15. Then the elements of the sun, called Phoenixes and Chalkydri, break into song. Therefore every bird flutters with its wings, rejoicing at the giver of light. And they broke into song at the command of the Lord. The giver of light comes to give brightness to the whole world. Amein. And the morning guard takes shape, which is the rays of the sun, and the sun of the earth goes out, and receives its brightness to light up the whole face of the earth. And they showed me this calculation of the sun's going, and the gates which it enters. These are the great gates of the computation of the hours of the year. For this reason the sun is a great creation, whose circuit lasts 28 years, and begins again from the beginning. Chapter 16. Those men showed me the other course, that of the moon, 12 great gates crowned from west to east, by which the moon goes in and out of the customary times. It goes in at the first gate into the western places of the sun, by the first gates with the 31 days exactly, by the second gates with the 31 days exactly, by the third with 30 days exactly, by the 4th with 30 days exactly, by the 5th with 31 days exactly, by the 6th with 31 days exactly, by the 7th with 30 days exactly, by the 8th with 31 days perfectly, and by the 9th with 31 days exactly, by the 10th with 30 days perfectly, by the 11th 31 days exactly, by the 12th with 28 days exactly. And it goes through the western gates in the order and number of the eastern, and accomplishes the 365 1/4 days of the solar year, while the lunar year has 354, and there are wanting to it 12 days of the solar circle, which are the lunar epochs of the whole year. Thus, too, the great circle contains 532 years. The quarter of a day is omitted for 3 years. The 4th fulfills it exactly. Therefore, they are taken outside of heaven for 3 years, and are not added to the number of days, because they changed the time of the years to 2 new months towards completion, to 2 others towards diminution. And when the western gates are finished, it returns and goes to the eastern to the lights, and goes thus day and night about the heavenly circles, lower than all circles, swifter than the heavenly winds, and spirits, and elements, and angels flying. Each angel has 6 wings. It has a 7-fold course in 19 years. Chapter 17. In the midst of the heavens I saw armed soldiers, serving the Lord with tympana and organs, with incessant voice, with sweet and incessant voice, and various singing, which it is impossible to describe. Truly, that is so true, and which astonishes every mind. So wonderful and marvelous is the singing of those angels. Amein. And I was delighted listening to it. Chapter 18. The men took me on to the 5th heaven, and placed me there, and I saw many and countless soldiers, called Grigori, of human appearance, and their size was greater than that of the great giants, and their faces withered, and the silence of their mouths perpetual, and there was no service on the 5th heaven. And I said to the men who were with me, Wherefore are these withered, very withered, and their faces melancholy, and their mouths silent, and wherefore is there no service on this heaven? And they said to me, These are the Grigori, who with their prince Satnael rejected the Lord of light, and after them are those who are held in great darkness on the 2nd heaven, and 3 of them went down onto the earth from the Lord's throne to the place Hermon, that's Mount Hermon, and broke through their vows on the shoulder of the hill Hermon, and saw the daughters of men how good they are, and took to themselves wives, and befouled the earth with their deeds, who in all times of their age made lawlessness and mixing. And giants are born, and marvelous big men, and great enmity. And therefore God judged them with great judgment, and they weep for their brethren, and they will be punished on the Lord's great day. Amen. And I said to the Grigori, I saw your brethren and their works and their great torments, and I prayed for them, but the Lord has condemned them to be under earth, until heaven and earth shall end forever. And I said, Wherefore do you wait, brethren, and do not serve before the Lord's face, and have not put your services before the Lord's face now, lest you anger your Lord utterly? And they listened to my admonition, and spoke to the 4 ranks in heaven. And lo, as I stood with those 2 men, 4 trumpets trumpeted together with great voice, and the Grigori broke into song with one voice, and their voices went up before the Lord pitifully and affectingly. So there are those fallen angels who repented. Chapter 19. And thence those men took me, and bore me up on the 6th heaven. And there I saw 7 bands of angels, very bright and very glorious, and their faces shining, and the sun shining, their faces shining more than the sun shining, glistening, and there is no difference in their faces or behavior or manner of dress. And these make the orders and learn the goings of the stars, and the alteration of the moon, or revolution of the sun, and the good government of the world. And when they see evil doing, they make commandments and instruction, and sweet and loud singing, and all songs of praise. Amen. And these are the archangels who are above the angels, measure all life in heaven and on earth, and the angels who are appointed over the seasons and years, and angels who are over rivers and sea, and who are over the fruits of the earth, and the angels who are over every grass, giving food to all, to every living thing, and the angels who write all the souls of men, and all their deeds, and all their lives before the Lord's face. In their midst are 6 phoenixes, and 6 cherubim, and 6 winged ones, continually with one voice, singing one voice, and it is not possible to describe their singing. And they rejoice before the Lord at his footstool. And those 2 men, chapter 20, and those 2 men lifted me up thence on to the 7th heaven, and I saw there a very great light, fiery troops of great archangels, incorporeal forces and dominions, orders and governments, cherubim and seraphim, thrones and many-eyed ones, 9 regiments, the lonet stations of light. And I became afraid, and began to tremble with great terror. And these men took me, and led me after them, and said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear, and showed me the Lord from afar, sitting on his very high throne. For what is there on the 10th heaven, since the Lord dwells here? And on the 10th heaven is God. In the Hebrew tongue he is called Aravat, that is Aravat. And the heavenly troops would come and stand on the 10 steps according to their rank, and would bow down to the Lord, and would again go to their places in joy and felicity, singing songs in the boundless light with small and tender voices, gloriously serving him. Chapter 21. And the cherubim and seraphim standing about the throne, the 6 winged and many-eyed ones, do not depart, standing before the Lord's face, doing his will, and cover this whole throne, singing with gentle voice before the Lord's face, Holy, holy, holy Lord, ruler of Sabbath. Heavens and earth are full of thy glory. And when I saw these things, those men said to me, Enoch, thus far it is commanded us to journey with thee. And those men went away from me, and thereupon I saw them not. And I remained alone at the end of the 7th heaven, and became afraid, and fell on my face, and said to myself, Woe is me, what has befallen me? And the Lord sent one of his glorious ones, the archangel Gabriel. And he said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear. Arise before the Lord's face into eternity. Arise, come with me. And I answered him, and said to myself, My Lord, my soul is departed from me, from terror and trembling. And I called to the men who led me up to this place. On them I relied, and it is with them I go before the Lord's face. But Gabriel caught me up, as a leaf caught up by the wind, and placed me before the Lord's face. Amein. And I saw the 8th heaven, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Muzaloth. It's Muzaloth. Changer of the seasons, of drought and of wet, and of the 12 signs of the zodiac, which are above the 7th heaven. And I saw the 9th heaven, which is called in Hebrew Cherubim, which are the heavenly homes of the 12 signs of the zodiac. Now, what the watchers did when they fell and they came down is they twisted the zodiac and made it completely unusable. You have to go to your actual birth chart. That's the only chart that is usable to any one of us. All that stuff in the newspaper and magazines is garbage. Thank you for joining me. Please leave your prayer requests below. Jesus, bless everyone that hears this. Bless everyone in this world. Bless all of your children. Come, YaHuah. Amen.